Hello everyone, welcome to my first ever video. The topic today is going to be another video by another channel called TurfNation regarding a third channel called The Critical Drinker. But before we get into that, when you think about the white knighty view that TurfNation has on feminism, his name is just questionable at best. But doesn't really matter, let's just move on. I'll go through most of the points I disagree with one by one and explain my reasonings as to how, and more importantly, why he is wrong. Which he is. There's not really much of a discussion about this. He is objectively wrong. It's just about going into all of these objections one by one and discussing the particular reasons. Yes, Turf Nation, even though you shield yourself with the ever-elusive "in my opinion" and "I think" statements, that still doesn't mean you're correct, which I will easily demonstrate. I will try to keep this as PG as I possibly can, but knowing me, that is going to be actually kind of impossible. So without further ado, let's get into it.
So The Critical Drinker is quite a popular film reviewer here on YouTube, and he has made a name for himself for his drunken and comedic persona, his coverage of various topics within pop culture, and his total criticism of anything that he perceives as woke. Last time we talked about his video on fixing Ray, and I didn't think he was being very fair to her in that video, but that was it. My criticism did not go deeper than our disagreement on a fictional character. However, today we are going beyond just a disagreement, because I think The Critical Drinker is a problem. Anyone with any thought for themselves or who hasn't already fallen down the rabbit hole yet can tell that this man is a reactionary.
The Drinker is not a reactionary. The Drinker is a movie critic. It's actually pretty kind of obvious if you spend 5 minutes on his channel. If everybody who doesn't agree with you is a reactionary, then by your own definition, movie criticism would most probably look something like this.
Color good. There is a plot. Characters appear on screen every now and again. There is certainly a reason to use speakers whilst watching this movie.
So many of his videos claim to be about something relevant to film analysis, but they end up being a means for him to rant about how the representation of women and people of color in big franchises are ruining the film industry.
So here's the first example of him being incredibly disingenuous. As you can see from here, The Critical Drinker has recommended Arcane previously. For those of you who don't know, Arcane is a female-led show, almost exclusively, and he has recommended Ripley as one of the best female characters in cinema in general, ever.
He sees the push for social and political freedom for all races, genders, and sexualities as an attack on him and his passion for film.
We need to make a quick break here, because I want to unpack these two concepts that he's brought forth. The first one being social freedom and the second being political freedom. Social freedom is nothing more than one's ability to agree with another party on which policies, topics, or opinions they disagree on. Social freedom is basically, we agree to disagree. That's all it is. On the other hand, political freedom is much more important. It states that you have the freedom to make any political choice unaffected by any third party, whether that be, the police force, a political party, a politician, or just your neighbor. You have the freedom to make a political choice regardless of what the people around you say, and they don't have the right to tell you, for instance, to whom you should give your vote. That's what these two rights are, these two freedoms. And as you can pretty much see, both of these terms have been used by him completely incorrectly. This is a theme that's going to happen a lot moving forward.
And even the slightest hint of covering these issues in franchises like Star Wars and Marvel makes this man squeal in terror, for the SJWs are coming to get him. Listen, even if you don't care about social issues, which would be kinda iffy, but let's just say you don't care, the least you can do is just not say anything about it.
Turf Nation, please, I beg you, redraft your script, because this is another example of extremely poor wording. Even if you don't care about social issues, the least you can do is just not say anything about it. There are two fundamental issues with this. First of all, a conversation between two people, if this is correct, could only be had if they are talking about a topic that is specifically interesting to both of them. They could not converse in any topic that is only interesting to one of them, and thus increase the knowledge of another in a topic that they weren't interested in before. However, The problem with you and the critical drinker is not that the critical drinker doesn't care about these social issues, it's the fact that he doesn't agree with you. So, if this is to be followed to the letter, what you are requesting is an echo chamber. Now, this is nothing new for people with political leanings similar to yours. However, I am extending this olive branch to say that this is simply poor wording and you don't actually want an echo chamber. But please, redraft your scripts. It's gonna help you in the long run.
Naturally, I can't cover every single thing he said. I wish I could, but that's just not plausible.
Again, we need to go back to the previous point. Redraft, and then redraft again. Going through all of his library is certainly possible because I think you wanted to say impossible. It is also plausible. However, it is very impractical. So again, redraft your scripts.
Instead, if you want me to dig even deeper down into his content, then let me know down below. But anyways, the main video in question today is one he made a couple months ago called Marvel Phase 4, Who Cares?
Only 6 minutes in and we're just getting started. Jesus Christ, this is gonna take a while.
And just from the thumbnail alone, you can see why I have a problem with it. However, your thumbnail tells us viewers that you're making this video for the wrong reasons. The possible problems with the future of the MCU is not the fact that there are more female characters now. That's actually a really fucking good thing.
Who exactly is making this argument? It's not that there are more women, it's that the women are written badly as characters that's the problem, my dude. No one is saying the fact that there are more women is bad. At least nobody's sane.
There are now plenty of good male characters and plenty of good female characters.
This is just demonstrably, laughably not true. There are plenty of well-written male characters, and there are, unfortunately, very unfortunately, some well-written female characters. Not all of them. To which I give you the worst written of them all.
But by putting 5 women in your thumbnail, it shows that you have a problem with women. So it doesn't help your case that 2 out of these 5 women are dead going into Phase 4.
Are we just ignoring Black Widow now? Have we reached that point where we just pretend she never had a movie? I mean, I don't know. It seems very misogynistic to me. But then again, what do I know?
So this thumbnail really just doesn't make any sense at all. But anyways, I have an open mind and I gave you the benefit of the doubt. To be honest, parts of your video aren't even that bad. However, the problem I have with this video is that you so often put the blame of bad MCU movies on women or other social issues that they try to incorporate into their movies. And it's just unnecessary. There are so many times he does this throughout the video, and I'll show you these moments now. I'll try to be brief though. I have a hard time not rambling when I respond to assholes on the internet.
Let me tell you, buddy, if the length of this video is any indication, I gotta say, same. Just all around, same.
I really don't understand calling a Marvel character a Mary Sue. Characters in the MCU are powerful as fuck.
Are you baiting me?
They're superheroes. We have Thor, we have the Hulk, we have Wanda, we have Vision. All characters who fit your descriptions of an overpowered Mary Sue. But since it's Brie Larson, the most evil creature on the planet, then you have a problem with it. Grow up and give actual film criticism.
As you can see from my previous 4 examples, these superheroes, they do fail. It's what endears them to us. Thor lost everybody, his mother, his brother, his father. The Hulk lost the one thing that made him Hulk. He lost the ability to fight someone in hand-to-hand combat and win. He lost against Thanos. Wanda lost the love of her life and even failed to fulfill the last wish that Vision ever had. It was to kill him. Vision failed in doing the one thing he needed to do in order to save everybody. He failed to die. These people fail. It's why they're heroes. It's because they keep coming back up after failure. Captain America, Iron Man, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Thor, every single one of the original Avengers failed to stop Thanos. And somehow they're Mary Sues. I need you to look up the definition of Mary Sue again because you obviously don't have it right.
Yes. The only thing that happens in Thor Ragnarok is that Thor gets beaten up by the feminists. Yeah, you're deluded. If you really can't see past two female characters in a movie who are just acting like normal characters in this universe, then how can you possibly expect people to take you seriously as a film reviewer? Your bias against women completely dictates your thoughts, and it's such a toxic mindset.
Okay, buddy, I need you to follow me on this. We're very close. We're nearing the finish line. You're almost about to get it. It's not a problem that they're female. No sane person would ever make that argument. It's a problem that they are badly written characters who also happen to be female, forced into a strong female character for which the writing has no business in trying to force them into. That's all the problem is. It's bad characters trying to hide the fact that they're bad characters behind the veneer of them being female. That's all there is to it.
Listen, I personally don't like Hela much as a villain, but it has nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman. She falls victim to the same character problems that so many other villains in the MCU have. But because she's a woman, then it's suddenly worth mentioning to you. Oh, so apparently villains nowadays aren't allowed to be strong or beat up the hero. Oh, sorry, my bad. Yes, they are, but only if they're a man. How can you openly say shit like this on the internet?
Find me a clip where he says that. Find me a clip where the critical drinker says the only problem with Hela is that she defeats Thor. If you find me a clip where he lists multiple problems with Hela, one of which is also maybe the way she beat Thor, that is inadmissible. You can't use that. He needs to say the problem with Hela is she defeats Thor.
How come so many people just accept it? I just don't get it.
The fact that Thor Love and Thunder is going to have strong female character as the new ruler of Asgard, and Jane Foster taking Thor's hammer away from him, kind of suggests that he's really just there to prop up his more diverse replacements.
What the fuck is your problem with Valkyrie being Queen of Asgard? Who else does Thor trust enough for this role? Everyone else who would have been capable of doing it is fucking dead. What the fuck is wrong with Jane Foster being Thor? That's literally who she is in the comics.
Well, to be fair, as far as I'm considered, the whole Thor-Jane Foster thing is more of a grammatical nitpick. So, let me explain. If you go to any text comparison website, just to give you an example, www.text-comparison.com, you're going to see two text fields. If you input Jane Foster into one of them, and you input Thor into the other, and then click compare, what you'll get is a little box that says that Jane Foster and Thor are not the same thing. One would then logically assume that Jane Foster is Jane Foster, not Thor. And at the very same time, Thor is not Jane Foster, he is Thor. Also, on a severely related tangent, you are aware that there are still living people today who consider Thor, the thunder god, a literal god, a religious figure that they believe in. How do you not see that changing the gender of such a figure could be considered blasphemy by them? Which is, kind of important. You don't want to insult somebody's religion. It'd be kind of an asshole move, wouldn't it?
When Captain America picked up Mjolnir, it was fine and epic, but when a woman does it, oh, no. Then it's just woke SJW propaganda.
Does being this absolutely stupid just come naturally to you, or is this something that you actively partake in? I really want to know. I'm genuinely confused here, because you are asking me to explain to you the difference between someone stealing somebody's entire identity versus somebody picking up a weapon that belonged to someone else. What do I need to what are you smoking? And can I please have some?
Identity theft is not a joke, Jim. Millions of families suffer every year.
Listen, the women in these movies don't undermine Thor. We all still love him, but apparently you don't want side characters in your movies.
Because then the main character can't shine.
If Valkyrie had been a male character, but every trait and development stayed the same, you'd have no fucking problem with that character being King of Asgard. But of course, women are the spawn of Satan.
So your hypothesis here is that if Valkyrie was a dude, nobody would have a problem with that dude being the king of Asgard. If she was written as well as Valkyrie is written currently, many people would have a problem with, well, I guess him being the king of Asgard. However, let's move back to your original point. If everything was the same regarding Valkyrie, but she was a dude, I would have a big problem with that. Much bigger problem than I have with her now, because on top of all the problems that I have with her now, there would also be an added problem of a male Valkyrie. Now, I don't know about you, but from what I know, Valkyries are exclusively female. That was one of the cleverer parts of Thor Ragnarok. So if they took a Valkyrie, and I guess male-washed her would be the correct term, I would be fucking appalled. But hey, at least I'm consistent with my beliefs.
A 2-hour feminist power fantasy for the blue-haired land whales of the world to feel vindicated as they go home to their empty cat-infested apartments.
This is just plain anti-feminism. It's honestly so funny to me that blue-haired girl is the straw man people have decided on for representing feminism. Fucking hell.
Yeah, weird. I don't have an idea either. I mean, I guess it's just one of those things, you know? No idea where that came from. How weird. How weird.
Fucking hell. The evils of modern culture is not an interesting topic to explore. What the fuck? How is it not an interesting topic? Falcon and the Winter Soldier tackle some very relevant topics such as the nature of terrorism, institutional racism, and inequality within society and the ramifications it has for a lot of people. Naturally, it still has the more MCU-related topics such as what it means to be a hero and finding out who you are, but these other topics I mentioned before are a lot more intriguing. But your main critique of this show being that they try to tell people not to be racist is a very bad look for you. Captain America has always been about the evils of modern culture. Just try to think for a second what the reaction would be if Captain America was real in our world and he gave the mantle to a black person. Think about how many proud white nationalists would say that it wasn't constitutional. Institutional racism is real. Societal racism is real. It's what the foundation of the world is built on.
I just need to stop here right at this line because it's incredible. It's one of the worst lines I've ever heard in my life. The foundation of the world is racism. Dude, I don't know where you live, and I can't really say how bad it is, but in the entire history of humankind, there has never been less racism. It has never been as good as it is. It will only get better. Racism was never the foundation of the world. What are you smoking? And again, can I please have some?
In that way, the show was very meta because it was able to address actual inevitable criticism and hate from people who would complain about a black Captain America on screen. To say that this topic isn't interesting to explore in a show about a black Captain America shows us how little you care about issues of race. Also, when you say let them forge their own opinions, what do you mean exactly? In your opinion, should Falcon have said, here are the pros to being racist and here are the pros to being anti-racist? Now you go ahead and choose which one you want to be.
You've got to do better, Senator.
Again, my boy, much like your opinions, you're looking in the shallows. You need to go a little bit deeper, a little bit further into the water. It's not the themes, it's not the topics, it's how well the show tackles them. And this show tackles them awfully. Real bad. Bottom tier. Trash. Speaking of Anthony Mackie, who doesn't own an Instagram, have any of you by any chance watched Altered Carbon? On the surface, it's a simple crime show. A detective looking for a murderer who killed a very rich person, and in fact, this rich person is the one who hired them. Now, I'm not going to go into any spoilers or story beats, but rest assured the show is extremely interesting and should be watched by as many people as possible. One of the reasons for this is a particular piece of technology that is very prominent in the show, the discs that most of the rich people have in the base of their head. This disc allows them to transfer their consciousness from body to body with almost no long-term repercussions. This results in the rich effectively living forever, being immortal and only needing to switch a body every now and again, and other than that, they're pretty much set for all eternity. But what the show tackles, which is far more interesting than the technology itself, is how that technology affects society. You are going to have companies that are dealing exclusively in bodies, changing them on a genetic or a physical level, giving them skin that's resistant to bullets or much more sensitive feeling of touch. As you can imagine, rich people would pay exorbitant prices for a perfect body, as long as it's to their specifications. A very interesting look at to how advanced and ever-advancing technologies may have long-term ramifications for a society we cannot even comprehend. But even more importantly than that, it shows nuance. The rich people that enjoy all of the opulence that you can possibly think of are not mustache-twirling villains. The main and probably most evil character of the show still goes down into the depths of the city, which are filled with poor people who are infected with various diseases and viruses and barely have any food to come by. He goes down there. He helps them. He gives them food and medicine, knowing that if he goes down there, he will get infected and die a horrible death. Now, to be fair, death doesn't really mean a lot to him since he can just kind of reanimate himself, but he still does it. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to suffer the diseases through which he goes through. But he still does, because he's a nuanced person. The themes that this show is producing are nuanced in both their visual representation and possible solution. It's not just racism bad. There is more to this problem than what can be summed up in a single line.
The topic of race should not be called identity politics, because it shouldn't even be a political question. One of the many topics The Falcon and the Winter Soldier brings up is the institutional inequality between races in America, which is a very important topic to educate the youth about. Because yes, a lot of teenagers and young adults watch MCU movies. Let's be real, most of them aren't going to watch political debates about racism from credible people who know what they're talking about.
The fact that teenagers don't want to enter into political debate is not up to the drinker nor anybody else to fix. Teenagers have always been notoriously non-political because, honestly, they have a lot more on their minds than politics during, teenage years. They're supposed to be stupid. They're supposed to not pay attention. They're supposed to be distracted by pretty lights. It's kind of the time of your life when you generally are a bit of a moron. This has been known for centuries, and even eons. This is not a new thing. I mean, maybe it is to you, but to the rest of the non-Mongoloids, no, it's pretty known that teenagers are idiots, and will always be idiots. Also, you don't get to make the decision of who is credible and who isn't. Society paints that picture, and according to what we've seen on the Critical Drinkers channel, he's actually very credible and very consistent. If you watch the movies and actually pay some attention, instead of just looking at the shiny lights and the good music, you would actually pick up on most of the things that he is saying. There is a very good reason we've never had another Godfather. But there is also an even better reason why we've had plenty of Marvel movies. They're not the same. They're much easier to make, yet they are still failing at certain aspects of them.
No, that's not fun for them.
It's really not my fucking problem.
The other alternative for these people is to watch videos from guys like you who turn the topic of racism and other social issues into a question mark.
Just so we're clear on this, so social issues, which is issues that affect entire societies, including all members of those societies, should be beyond question. Alright? Weird way of looking at things. Just wanted to make sure.
basically telling them not to be anti-racism because you can't trust the government. YouTube is littered with oblivious people like you.
Again with that customary projection, but there's a more important topic here. Notice that he didn't say that the critical drinker is telling people to be racist. He is telling them not to be anti-racist. There's I believe, a very good reason why he would use this particular form of wording, as saying that the critical drinker is telling people to be racist is a bad move, since that is easily and demonstrably wrong. So he just used a quick little turn of phrase. He's not telling people to be racist, he is telling them not to be anti-racist, which is the same thing as telling them to be racist.
And it's so easy for people to fall down the alt-right rabbit hole, and sadly, it's damn hard to get out of.
It's really not my fucking problem.
Channels like these use the cover of humorous and critical film analysis to spread their alt-right, misinformed, and discriminatory opinions on the internet to ignorant viewers who sometimes just don't know better.
As we can finally see here, it's pretty much obvious that you're approaching this entire topic and this entire debate with a lot of good faith in mind. Real class act here. But more importantly, every single adjective that you've used to describe the drinker can be perfectly summed up with just a couple of lines that I'll pilfer from another movie.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
There are a lot of assholes in your comment section, but you also have viewers who just don't care about politics, and so they end up learning about these topics from all the misinformed, agenda-driven reactionaries on YouTube.
As opposed to learning it from you, the agenda-driven reactionary on, what, Dailymotion? Pornhub? Where are you uploading this to? Do you not see that you're doing the exact same thing you're accusing him of? What do you call that again? Oh yeah.
People enjoy watching your videos because they think they're harmless, funny, and insightful, but they don't realize the nonsense you're preaching about. One thing I despise about reactionaries on YouTube is how they always ramble on and on about how SJWs can't stop talking about identity politics and social issues. But you showing your stance on these topics is you talking about identity politics and social issues. And you don't fucking stop. You don't like it when media shoves politics down your throat, but that's exactly what you're doing to your viewers.
Jesus fucking Christ, is this guy for real? Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, give me a moment. Oh god. Oh, this guy. Oh god. I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
5 minutes later.
All right. I'm back. All right, I'm coming. I'm back. I'm here. Okay. So I feel like I should explain why I found that so funny. First of all, he said, you showing your stance about these issues is you talking about social justice and political issues. I don't really have a polite way of saying this except, well, duh, you fucking idiot. If you wanna talk about your political opinion about a topic, then you have to talk about that topic. I can't believe I'm the first person that's telling you this. How have you not figured this out yet? But that's not the end. It gets even better. You don't like it when media shoves SJW politics down your throat, but that's exactly what you're doing to your viewers. Because as we all know, the critical drinker and the Disney Corporation are the exact same thing. They're completely equivalent. There's no difference between them. How do you love all the billions that you have, drinker? How are you loving the billions? How do you sleep at night? Jesus fucking Christ.
Anyways, this video could have been an insightful discussion from an enthusiastic film lover about the possible problems that can arise in Phase 4 of the MCU. Instead, it was a breeding ground for his hatred of female empowerment in cinema. It just seems like everything he knows and has studied about filmmaking just goes out the fucking window as soon as a woman plays a key part in a movie. But anyways, the hundreds and thousands of fans of The Critical Drinker are probably gonna say,
well, how can he be misogynistic and sexist if he defended Gina Carano?
who's a woman? And this is one of the only counter-arguments you will ever hear from people being called racist or sexist. Basically, it goes like, well, I know someone who's from that social group, so I can't be racist or sexist. And this argument just doesn't hold up.
So if publicly defending a woman and condemning those who attack her is not enough for you to no longer be considered sexist, I would like to know from you, what does one need to do to no longer be considered as such? Do I have to go around town licking women's feet and thanking them for the ground upon which they walk? Or would that be a bit creepy and kind of the opposite of what needs to be done? Or maybe, just a revolutionary idea here, bear with me, do I have to actually consider them nothing more than just human beings, just like me, and treat them as such? Would that be enough, or would that make me sexist? Just curious. Now, I know why you're bringing this whole Gina Carano incident in question. It doesn't really take a genius to figure that one out. I'll leave that comment for when we get to that particular part of the topic. But rest assured, even here, I knew where you were going, and you still went there. Completely predictable.
Many of the misogynistic men who are in favor of a patriarchy are straight, and they all likely have a wife or a girlfriend whom they love very dearly, or at least they want to have one. You don't have to be abusive to be sexist. A man can still be indirectly against equality between the genders for various reasons. Listen, it's as simple as this. The Critical Drinker likes Gina Carano because her alt-right ideals align with his, and because she got fired for opinions that he likely also holds. He doesn't care about her, he just uses her story to further help grow his anti-wokeness platform. And here's proof that he didn't care about her before her controversy.
But for the life of me, I'll never understand why they cast Gina Carano. I mean, she's big and burly, and she obviously knows what she's doing when it comes to the fight scenes, but she's a fucking cage fighter, not an actor. Watching her trying to emote is almost as painful as watching Brie Larson trying to be funny.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
Turf, listen to me very carefully here. This is important for your entire life. I am criticizing your video. I am criticizing your opinion. I am not criticizing you. I do not hate you, and I do not love you either. In fact, considering my entire life, you are one of the most irrelevant people in it. Therefore, I do not hate you, nor do I love you. You are just a person behind a screen. That does not mean I hate you, therefore I criticize. Neither does it mean I criticize, therefore I hate. Criticizing somebody and hating somebody are not equivalent things. I can criticize many actors in certain roles. I still love them overall. It's just this one role didn't really help their case. Okay? Same goes for music, same goes for art, same goes for opinions. I have some people that I actually kind of like, but they had a couple of opinions that are actually kind of dumb, or I don't agree with them. That still doesn't mean that I hate the person overall. However, it has to be said, I am not shocked that you don't know the difference, because I've heard this same talking point from many people who have your political leanings. Let's call it that.
He thought she was a bad implementation into Star Wars and that she was just there as part of Kathleen Kennedy's SJW agenda. This is the exact same mindset that all the rest of these reactionary fuckers have. They hated her until she wrote transphobic shit on Twitter, posted conspiracy theories,
and Disney loved her until that exact same moment. Critical Drinker didn't exactly defend Gina Carano. He defended the hypocrisy. Disney was very proud of the fact that they cast Gina Carano, a legend of female MMA fighting, in that role. Because she was a very famous woman, a very powerful and strong woman. Being an MMA fighter, I think we can all agree, ain't exactly easy. But as soon as that very same woman spoke her mind, whatever that mind may have been, Disney suddenly turned around the tune and fired her. So either you're supporting women 100%, or you're only supporting women as long as it suits your needs. That was the larger point that the critical drinker was making, and that was the reason why he was supporting her. We all know why they hired her. Nobody had to tell us, and they proved it as soon as she did what she did. They're only going to support women as long as it brings them money. It's hypocrisy at its finest. Specifically because then those same people are going to go around to tell me and other people who don't engage in this fake feminism that we are the ones who are sexist for not supporting their fake castings from the get-go. Sorry, I'm not the one firing women. You are. That's why they're being sexist, not the drinker. And you are actively supporting and defending them whilst they're doing so. Just food for thought.
Ultimately got fired for it. And now, she's a saint. His video on Gina Carano is one of the worst videos I've seen in a long time. Again, I'm not trying to discredit his skills at video making. The problem with this video is that it's very obviously a political rant. However, it's not portrayed as one. Instead, it's spoken as a fairy tale, supposed to inspire people to follow in her footsteps. Just listen to the intro.
Gather round, dear viewer, as I tell you a tale. It's the tale of a woman who stood tall in the face of jealousy, cowardice, hatred, and vengeance, and dared to utter a single word. No. It's the story of the girl who wouldn't back down.
Now this intro is fine just by itself, because if he goes on to actually cover the topic just with a bit more of a storytelling approach, it would still be weird, but it would be alright. That's not what he does though. He doesn't condemn her mocking of transgender people, or her ignorant comments comparing people on Twitter who call out racist people for being racists with the Nazis. No. He agrees with her.
She even gave examples of other evil cults from other kingdoms who had once done similar things.
What the fuck?
But the young woman was different. And when the cultists tried to turn her into one of them, she didn't just refuse their offer, she openly mocked them.
Now this is just full on calling transgender people and those who support trans rights a cult, and saying that it's okay to mock them. Again, what the fuck? Then at one point he shows tweets from people rudely and distastefully responding to some of her tweets, and listen, I don't condone hateful behavior. However, most of the people who responded to her have a solid ground to stand on. And like we've talked about before, you must be ready to face the backlash for saying controversial shit on the internet. These tweets do not make what she said okay. The truth of the matter is that you're not telling the truth in this video. Your video is dangerous because you happily skip over all her lies and all her mockery of social groups and label her as a hero. It's not just that you're a conservative who agrees with her opinions. No, you're full on hiding the truth of what she did from your viewers and disguising it as an epic tale of a true woman.
Honestly, I don't understand why so many people are against mocking lately. It's one of the true and tested methods of not letting one's ego inflate. And if your opinions are anything to go by, you could have used a certain dose of mocking in your younger days because, like I said, way up your own ass right now. But enough with the snipes, we need to move back to the hypocrisy angle. You would support Gina Carano in any decision she would make, in any comment that she would make, as long as it agrees with your political leanings. If she said, white men are evil, nobody would bat a fucking eyelash. But because she disagreed with the general opinion of the zeitgeist, now she is evil. It's again...
Listen, I can understand how some people feel like what happened to Gina Carano goes against freedom and liberty, but it's not true, because liberty means freedom to everyone, which means Disney has the freedom to fire someone, just like how Gina Carano has the freedom to say whatever she wants to say. But having freedom doesn't mean there are no consequences to what you say, and the consequence for Gina Carano was that people didn't like that she was criticizing the liberty of distinct groups of people. Disney is a private company and they have full right to let go of someone who violates their contract or doesn't fit in with their views. Conservatives love the free market and unregulated companies until they actually see it in action. However, this is a complex topic and not everyone fully understands it.
Okay, so what I love about this moment is you can actually pinpoint certain timestamps where the AI started to become self-aware. But then, spoiler alert, it failed. It didn't work out. So, Turf, here's why this doesn't work. Today, the overall, let's say, corporate political compass is leaning left. So people who show some right opinions, like when I say the right, I mean like the right side of the political spectrum, they're going to be fired because they aren't as left-leaning as the rest of the corporation. However, here's the problem with that. Today, it's the left making that decision. In the 70s and the 80s, it was the right making that decision. Both of them are equally wrong. And just because one used to do it 40 years ago does not give you the right to do that exact same thing. You are not even as bad as they were. You are worse because you know what they did and you are still doing it. You are worse than the conservatives in the 70s and the 80s. You just don't see it yet.
Especially if they've been lied to by content creators they look up to. So I understand this concern that Gina Carano is being silenced because being silenced is scary as fuck. No one wants that to happen. And that's not what's happening to Carano.
I mean, yeah, losing the role of a lifetime, getting fired, being the collective Twitter's punching bag for weeks on end, getting harassed, death threats. I mean, yeah, that's all true, but nobody gagged her, I guess, so she wasn't silenced, but somehow getting fired and all of these things happening is fine, as long as she's not silenced, I guess. So I believe you're entitled to
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
But to call her a hero for proudly saying transphobic shit, spreading dangerous misinformation in the middle of a fucking pandemic, and being ignorant to the Holocaust. That's what I just can't understand. Gina Carano didn't sacrifice her career to speak up against some authoritarian regime. Almost the very next day after her firing, she was invited onto Ben Shapiro's show. And her fandom has grown exponentially because alt-right fuckers and reactionaries on the internet are very prominent. Do you honestly believe she'd still be thriving like this if she'd been a Jew during the Holocaust?
Am I the only one that's kind of weirded out by the way he said Jew? Is it just me? It seemed a bit too long. Completely irrelevant to the larger point. It seemed a bit weird.
Say the whole word!
And spoken up against the Nazis? No, of course not. It's not the same. And if you can't see that, then I guess I was just too naive to think that maybe you were just a misguided film reviewer on YouTube. I was wrong. You're a full-on reactionary.
Again, my dude, you two are doing the exact same thing. You are both reactionaries. It's just the word kind of generally means right-leaning. You are a left-leaning reactionary. There is no difference between the two of you. He opposes progress on the left-leaning side of the political spectrum, and you oppose the same thing on the right. You're both reactionaries. How do you not see this? And I'm not even of the opinion that the Drinker is particularly right-leaning. I just think that he has some right-leaning opinions and some left. But the way you say it, it's like everybody is an alt-righter. Everybody is a neo-Nazi. Every single one of them is a skinhead. And you don't see anything wrong with that, because you're an idiot.
It really sucks that these kinds of people dominate film on YouTube with their politically biased clickbait videos that get people riled up but never provide any intelligent insight.
As opposed to you, who is obviously the cream of the YouTube commentary intelligentsia. Also, considering the pretty stupid shit that you've been saying throughout this video, I would be very careful about calling people out on anything relating intelligence.
The Critical Drinker is just one of many anti-SJW reactionaries on the platform who actually indulge in actions that they themselves would deem to be SJW. I'm not against them voicing concerns about how Hollywood can force certain things or be overly politically correct without the right intentions.
But you are against that. You are demonstrably against that. This entire video is a demonstration of how you are against that. Because everything the Drinker has been doing is voicing his concerns. He might not put it the best way every once in a while, but that's what it is. So you are either against it or you're not. But you can't spend an entire video being against it and then in the last minute and a half say, but I'm not against it. That's not how it works, my boy. That's...
Like we've said before, that in itself is annoying when it has no substance and is clearly just a money grab. These assholes see it as a vehicle or an excuse to vent their far right-leaning perspectives in thinly veiled bigoted rants. The geeky part of YouTube is sadly littered with these types of people, but maybe, just maybe, we can help people learn how to see through these facades. My name is TurfNation, and that was all I had for today. As always, if you believe that I've made a mistake somewhere or wrongly judged your favorite YouTuber, then be sure to tell me down in the comments. Call me what you want, but please don't be toxic towards each other.
Oh yeah, totally. I've made an entire video being toxic to a well-beloved YouTuber. I've even asked my audience to tell me who they want me to be toxic towards next. But please, don't be toxic towards each other. Don't follow the example that I've put forward and set up this whole toxic environment. You be good. You be good little boys, and I'll be the one who's toxic. That way, nobody can criticize me for my audience being toxic towards others, because my audience are children. And as always...
Somebody please think of the children!
If you have a suggestion for someone I should talk about next, then also do leave them down below. Other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe and peace out.
Of course it's Minecraft. It had to be fucking Minecraft. It could be nothing else. And for the rest of you who actually do want to have a normal, sensible conversation with a person of an opposing political view, you need to change how you approach it. If you approach it the same way this idiot did, nothing's gonna get done. If, for instance, you're approaching a person who is being accused of being an anti-vaxxer, he's stupid, he's ignorant, he is a moron. No. He has beliefs that are incorrect. And it's up to you to show them how those beliefs are incorrect. If you approach it from that angle, you will have much more success because you are acknowledging their beliefs and you are simply showing them how they're incorrect. But if you acknowledge that they are only ignorant and stupid and whatever else negative you can think of, you're probably not going to convince them. It's all about the approach. And if you want to do what this idiot did, then just, be an asshole towards a well-loved YouTuber and exploit his fame for views, and then when the video is over, just ask your viewers or subscribers for just a suggestion on who could be your next victim, because you can't even find that on your own, because again, you haven't got an original fucking idea in your head. And all you do is suckle at the teat of much better YouTubers and exploiting their fame for it. You're pathetic, and much like your ideas, your views are stolen, not an original one amongst them. You're a failure, and you should feel bad for it. On a lighter note, I finished my first video. Took me a couple of days. It's probably going to be crap and do like crap, and I'm fine with that. It's more of a I have a lot of free time sort of project. If you think that the Critical Drinker is a good guy or you want to check out what this whole hullabaloo was about, I'm going to leave a link to his channel in the description. I think you're going to have a lot of fun there. He's an okay guy, and you might find some actually interesting film recommendations. I know I did, and I've enjoyed a lot of them. So, if you ever go into the comment section of any Critical Drinker's videos, tell him I sent you. And have a happy day, and fuck you, Turf Nation. Just a very hard fuck you.